All right, so welcome to For to Tour, and we are Mike, and this is Ellen. And today we wanted to take the opportunity to share our story with you as to how we came about RVing and how we transitioned from the traditional kind of living into the RV you see right behind us.
Yes, so hello and thank you for watching. I'd say it started at least 3 years ago for us that we kind of just started getting the itch of what would it be like to buy an RV? What would that look like? Is there any possibility of living in one and traveling full time with the kids? They were starting to get out of their toddler phase, and just the thoughts of what it would look like to homeschool and be able to travel and see America and beyond with them. And so we spent the last almost 3 years. We looked at RV parks while we were living, or went to how many different RV shows and RV stores and different things like that. And
it's YouTube where we found most of our inspiration.
We started following different families that were traveling and seeing what it was like to do it with kids and to see what kind of RV units they were in. Were we going to do a Class A? Were we going to do a start with something smaller like a C that already had the engine? Were we going to get the truck and get something like a travel trailer or fifth wheeler? And just kind of, we went into easily hundreds of different models of different types of RVs to see what would work for our family.
Initially, I didn't like the tow-behind trailers. I really was hooked on the fifth wheelers, and I've always wanted to own a Class A. But as we got talking, right, we talked about the pros and the cons, and some of the cons to having a Class A is the fact that if our Class A broke down, we wouldn't really have a place to live or to call our residence, since we were taking full-time residency in one of these. So we went ahead and we went to La Mesa, where we got our RV, and it was there that we started looking at Class C's. We found one with a lot of the good features and layouts, the bunks and separation between kids' room and our space. And Ellen actually had to use the restroom with the kids, so I went on a little walk around, and I walked into this travel trailer, and the very first thing I said was, "This is it. This is the one."
Yeah, he had found this line by the Grand Design line of travel trailers. And so when we got back, he's like, well, look at this one. And so we went in that one, and we went in a couple others. And so, yeah, you found the line for us, and then we walked into one more, and we just looked in and saw it had everything we were looking for. It had the bunk room with the door, to actually have a separation for the
Partition.
kids. Had a second toilet, had the second door, enough, to have that division and separation, and enough toilets for 4 people. So,
well, let's talk about before we bought the RV, how we transitioned from. So we used to own a house, and so we sold it. We sold it to pay off some debt. We got onto this Dave Ramsey craze, and we sold the house, and we paid off all our debt, and we moved to a different place in South Florida, where I began my career in education. And we thought, okay, maybe 2-3 years would be in a house again. And so we started the process of building another house, and then it was a year and a half into my job where I lost my first job in education. A new principal came in, and he called me into his office, and he said, we no longer need you. So we lost the house, and it's always been our vision to travel and see other places. And
yeah, and that kind of helped us nudge ourselves out of our first comfort zone block of life, because we were hoping to get into that house. We were right at the end of our lease of our apartment, and we hadn't planned to re-sign. We'd already told them we weren't staying. And so it was kind of like we literally just became, to the point where it was, 4 weeks and we're going to be homeless. We didn't have that next place of residence lined up. And so we took our first push out of the nest of living like what some people might call crazy, and we packed up and we moved to Tennessee. We said, let's try somewhere else. Let's try something different. Let's try something with seasons, something so that our kids, and we were born and raised in South Florida. Our kids had never seen seasons. We had never lived through a fall. We had never lived through a winter. South Florida was all we ever had known. And so we packed up and we drove to Tennessee, to a little town above Chattanooga called Cleveland, and we fell in love with getting outside of our comfort zone. It was definitely a push outside the nest, and it worked. We were able to find somewhere to live. We found jobs, and we lived in Tennessee for, was it just shy of 2 years?
Just shy of 2 years, yeah.
And the kids loved it up there. There was so much new to see. There were so many new environments, the hiking trails to see, the seasons to see. Just
and so
different,
then about after the 2 year mark, I was offered a better position where I was working in a place down here in Orlando to teach at, and the career I teach in is very, very specific. It's culinary, so I teach kids how to cook, and so I took on the job, and we wind up moving back down here to South Florida, giving up the mountains and all those places, and
which we're still somewhat mourning to this point. And we, being Floridians, once we got into Tennessee and got out of Florida, we swore we were never going to come back to Florida. We swore we were done with Florida. We were just going to live in Tennessee or travel around. And pardon that golf cart if you can hear that driving by. And especially being Floridians, living in Central Florida, right, as close to Orlando area as we are.
Right.
But thankfully, we're far enough outside the city where we're not dealing with that congestion as much. We are pretty close to I-4 still, but not as bad as we, I guess, had in our minds that it would be. But It's still not Tennessee.
Well, I always said to myself, I don't know how it was for Ellen, but I always said I'd never move to Orlando. I traveled to Disney all my whole childhood and had been here, and this place is just crazy congested, construction always going on, and it's just, I always said I'd never be here, and I guess never say never, and here we are today. We've been here for about a year.
Yeah, almost exactly a year now.
But,
so I guess if nothing else, that kind of lit the fire under us, because neither of us really wanted or want to stay long-term right here. So I think that kind of kept the fire lit under us of forcing us to think of what's next.
Right.
Are we going to stay here? We don't really want to, but is it time to go back to Tennessee yet? We're hoping that someday God will open that door for us to get back.
And we were never really able to put down good roots. We were constantly moving. The last 6 years have been just crazy. We've moved into 6 different apartments, and we've lived here and we lived there, and we actually had re-signed our lease to re-begin our second year at the apartment complex that we were in at before the RV, and I just had this idea to let's go look at some RVs, and we wound up buying the RV and getting the truck, and then having to go figure out how to break our lease because we had already re-signed. But thankfully they were very good.
They worked with us. And it kind of worked out because we were nervous because we had 2 cars. I had my Prius, which was paid off, 11-year-old Prius. He had his Versa, which we still owe a little bit on, but we're working on that. And so we weren't sure what to do for vehicles, because we knew if we got a trailer, that not a Class A or a Class C, but if we actually got a travel trailer or a fifth wheeler, we would need a truck. Just so happened right around that time, not the best news, but my Prius finally gave out. But thankfully we were able to trade that in and make it work and scrape enough together that we were able to pay cash for our truck. And so we went from a paid off vehicle to another paid off vehicle. So that was a huge blessing.
Very helpful.
And with the end of the year closeouts for this trailer, they were bringing the next line, so they cut this down so much that it would have been the same as another year's worth of rent for us.
Right.
For a family of 4 with our price increase that happens every year with apartments. So for another year, we're essentially owning instead of paying another year renting and having nothing to come out of after that. So I think that's kind of our last couple years in a nutshell of just our journey. This is nothing we did quickly or out of on a whim at all. We did our research, we followed families, we did our Google research, we
went to RV shows.
We went to so many different RV places and talked with. They probably thought we were joking that we were coming in so many times and never bought anything, but we let them know we're doing our homework. We're making sure we get this right.
And actually, the first time we went to La Mesa, we were ready to. We had driven this Class A, and we were ready to sign the papers on it, and we walked away because it just didn't feel right to spend $160,000 on our first RV.
Yes.
And so we went ahead, and this has been great.
We took the advice of people that had gone before us in the RV life, and they said start simple. Start with something small, start with something basic, and you can grow into it if you decide, but don't, especially going into it being newbies like us,
don't go big.
Don't go in over your heads. So
work your way into it. That's our hopes. Our hopes are maybe to spend a couple of years in this thing, and then hopefully as we learn and find what works and what doesn't work,
and we're keeping it within our lifestyle.
Increase it to a bigger unit. Hopefully someday owning a fifth wheeler.
Yeah.
But right now this is where we are, and God's opened up so many doors for us. So.
And a fifth wheeler would require a bigger truck.
Right.
So that's the truck that was available for us was just perfect size for pulling the size that we need, and it was a retired gentleman who had used it for pulling his trailers. He had a toy hauler, and so he had already done all the upgrades on it. He upgraded his mirrors and upgraded the backup cameras, the tow hitch cameras, and everything for us. So it was a huge blessing, all the upgrades that it came with. And I think if we went any bigger on our trailer, we wouldn't have had that truck. We probably wouldn't have been able to do it because we wouldn't have been able to pay cash for something larger.
And then the trucks we were looking at, the brand new trucks, they're going to cost about $600-700 a month, and we just didn't feel comfortable spending $700 a month.
No car loan.
Plus gas, plus maintenance, plus everything that comes with the expense of owning a new vehicle.
Yeah. And as you hear more of our story, we live in the mindset and lifestyle also of living off of one income. So it had to work with one income. So that way, God forbid anything happened to one or the other of us, even if just for a season, we know that we can still cover our lifestyle.
Right.
We can still cover, we don't have a loan on the car. Dave Ramsey would have whooped us if we did that. But we live on one lifestyle, which also to some might sound crazy. Why are you living so simple? Why are you could have more. We could.
I'd say one big pro to living in this RV is it teaches you how to have less. Less is more.
And that it's okay. That it works.
Yeah.
You don't need what you think you need.
I mean, a traditional way of living is everyone just stores everything in their garage, and we've seen some garages that are stacked high and all the way from the front door or the back door. It's jam-packed, and it's no way to live. This is a much simpler lifestyle. We have just the things we need. We have some of the things we want, but we don't have everything that we used to have.
We have a few bins that thankfully some family members are letting us keep in their garage, but I mean, we're talking a dozen or less of plastic storage container bins.
We got rid of all our furniture. We gave it all away, and
even the kids were great about going through their stuff and finding things to give away to other kids, other friends that we knew, or taking them to Goodwill. We went through all of their clothes and passed them on to friends with kids just younger, just smaller than ours. And it was something that we all decided. We decided that our adventure and living lighter here was worth giving up the stuff that we thought we wanted or thought we needed. So this was worth more to us than our stuff that we had.
Absolutely.
Piled in corners and cabinets and
we
closets.
Can't really take the saying, but essentially we're trading in the junk for experiencing more of the outdoors.
Yeah.
And
the experiences of being together, and if we were still in an apartment or a house, we would just probably not be outside right now. We wouldn't be doing this video. We wouldn't be planning trips and thinking of that. We'd be, okay, now we're in a house. Now we've got to work hard to pay it off. And now we've got to, this and that. And living simpler also puts less stress on us for work. My job, I can work more hours if I want, or I can work less, which also gives the flexibility to homeschool the kids, which gives us the freedom of just picking up and going and doing things wherever we want, whenever we want. We can have school anywhere and over any lesson, inside, outside, wherever we want. So
yeah, and so I guess moving forward, our hopes is to travel, obviously, right? This is a travel channel, and hopefully we can inspire you to take a move towards RVing if you're still contemplating the facts if you should get into it or not. But
yeah, and this is something that we thought was going to be like a 5-year plan for us.
Yeah.
We thought this was something, when the kids get a little bit older, when we get a little more in the savings account, when we, like we had this 5-year plan of when we're ready. But, I think it's the same thing, like they say, with when it comes to having children, or when it comes to any big decision, if you wait till you're ready, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So we just decided we know it's something we want to do, and if we can adjust our lifestyle to make it work, and it's something that we're able to do and work towards, now's the time.
Right, so, I'm a teacher, so I get all those summer off, and spring break, and winter, and Thanksgiving, and our goal is, Lord willing, our goal is to put her out of a job, and and hit the road on all those times that I'm off from school.
Yeah.
And then that will kind of force us to try to find ways to make money on the road and support the new lifestyle of just being able to travel versus settling and accepting.
Yeah, and the fact that we did create our lifestyle on one income, that's doable. My job is basically kind of helping us get ready to start traveling.
Right.
So, as long as we keep our lifestyle, within our budget, staying to task, keeping our numbers right, then we can do it.
Yeah, and we do a budget, and we'll talk more about that.
We are making our money work for us.
We'll talk about the budget in another video, but stay tuned. I want you to see that video of us telling our kids when we got approved and we were moving forward with the process of purchasing the RV. And of course, if you got any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the description below. Hopefully we'll be able to do an up-and-coming Q&A, and just continue to create videos that inspire you to take next steps. All right, you're not going to like the news. You're going to love it.
Yay!
This is going to be our new home.
So we're living here
This will be our new home.
right now?
Not here. We're going to go find a park. But this is our new house. On wheels.